Hello, welcome back to the Abstract Thinking Podcast. It has been a while, but we have returned. I don't know how long we'll have, but we're going with it.
I'm back, bitches. But
But
what do you wish to talk about today, Matthew?
well, let's actually get into some philosophy here. Let's actually go deep here.
Well, there's a lot of things involved in philosophy we could talk about, Matthew.
Of course.
We could talk about free thinking. We could talk about Eastern philosophies. We could talk about other Western philosophies like Socratean philosophy.
Right.
We could talk about a plethora of things, Matthew.
We could.
Plethora, that's a good vocab word, guys.
That is a good vocab word. Back in sixth grade, that we did vocab by the actual definitions of the words. So one of them was we just learned a bunch of words for a surplus of something.
Yeah.
And that was one of the words that we had.
Plethora.
Yeah, and superfluous was in there too, and
What about muse? Muse is also a good vocab word. You muse upon things, Matthew.
That came later. I think that was a high school vocab word. Vocab words for me were always easy.
Yeah. Understandably, vocab's pretty easy for me as well, but I'm not an English person like Matthew.
Yeah, you're just an intelligent person.
I'm very much a math person. That's why I'm good at economics. That's why I'm very good at arguing with fucking socialists. But yeah.
That's an interesting split, isn't it? Because sometimes it's hard for me to discern between what's the actual difference between the right and the left? What's actually the difference? Because it seems like in a lot of cases, somebody who is a left winger, if they approached the situation from a different framing, they would have been on the opposite side. You know what I mean about that?
Yeah, I mean it's like that with every viewpoint. Though, if you approach it from a different direction, it's always going to be you're always going to come out to a different viewpoint.
It's almost like your viewpoints of things you don't necessarily choose.
I mean, you do. You don't choose them. A lot of the time, people choose their viewpoints, their political and philosophical viewpoints, off of things that they have gone through during their lives, things that their personalities are designed through, things that their parents have grown up teaching them. A bunch of factors will make up a person's political and philosophical viewpoints. For example, people who are brought up in more fundamentalist and Christian and religious families tend to lean more towards the right.
However, there is also the thing about kids who have a certain temperament want to rebel against their families and their parents. So maybe in that situation, they would have a kid that would actually just go the total opposite direction.
Exactly.
Especially if there was a negative circumstance involved. If it was an abusive household at the same time, there would probably be a higher chance of that.
Definitely, and you see that a lot with fundamentalist households, sadly. But
there's one that breaks the chain.
Yeah. And I mean, definitely, you'll see a lot of the time, you'll see, well, I shouldn't say a lot of times, I think it's something like 30% of the time people who are brought up in fundamentalist families will choose to rebel and end up on the left. And that's another thing that that's another thing that you could talk about when it comes to it. People who are brought up certain ways that often tend to rebel against their parents, right? Mm-hmm. They tend to rebel. They tend to try to find their own viewpoint. They tend to try to create their own personality from their family and from their parents. So people like you, for example, that were brought up in fundamentalist households, and then broke away from this fundamentalist viewpoint because you wanted to design your own personality. You didn't want to be the exact same as your parents, caused you to lean more towards your leftist and socialist views. Whereas me, I definitely had my rebel points, but I still kind of lean my way towards the right. But that mainly from the economic standpoint. I love the economic standpoint of the libertarian right.
But I would say that you being even on the libertarian side rather than the authoritarian right side is a rebellion.
Yeah, definitely. Just less of a rebellion this year.
But I'm the first My whole family up the chain was very, very religious. I'm like the first generation of atheist in the,
Yeah.
and my brother is also an atheist as well. So we kind of.
What about your sister? Is your sister Catholic?
She, well, after Nate and I stopped, well, I stopped going to Holy Savior.
Yeah.
We kind of all stopped going to church. So Allie, like, and Allie was really young at that point, so she didn't really even get exposed to the church at all.
Oh. So she just doesn't know her religious people?
Yeah, she's just kind of like a blank slate still in a way. I gave her a test. I gave her the 8 values test, and she came out as just like a center-left liberal.
Yeah.
Because that's like what her temperament lends to. She's a very like
Definitely.
compassionate person.
Definitely.
Compassionate little kid, yeah.
And I mean, like, a lot of people believe that, like, their horoscopes have a lot to do with their personalities.
There's that component as well.
And people will actually, they'll change once they learn about their horoscopes. And people who, I'm not trying to hate on people who, like, enjoy horoscopes when I say shit like this, but, like, people who do fall in love with the idea of horoscopes and people who do study all this stuff will actually, you'll see it as their personality will change to adopt more of the traits that they see in their star sign or
It's
whatever.
like a placebo effect on your personality almost.
And it literally, like, it can change their entire personality. That's why so many people believe in that whole idea.
Now, I'm very intrigued by the astrology thing to the point where I'm literally like making my own personality index.
Yeah.
Which is a very difficult task. That's why it's taken me like 6 months.
Yeah.
but
I mean, like, I'm not a person that is interested a lot by astrology. I find it as, like, mainly because I kind of try to see through what they're trying to do with it, and I understand that it does have, like, as you said, that placebo effect on a person.
Yeah, because let's be honest, especially with the horoscope part, I don't like the horoscope part because it's literally just like written so that it could apply to anybody.
Yeah.
So then it makes you feel special.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, like look at this.
Definitely. It's like a lot of religions, honestly.
Yeah.
It's it manipulates to kind of corrupt your thought process.
And it appeals to, I think, like the corporate liberal culture of like Starbucks drinking
Definitely
people, you know?
I feel like it's the Alex Jones of the left.
I'm the Alex Jones of the left. I've got ideas for like solo hot take videos to come out on this channel that are going to be kind of ranty, I think. Like,
yeah. And I mean, as we've said earlier, we're probably going to come out with these like single viewpoint videos. And
hopefully to bring more attention to the podcast.
Yeah.
That's my goal with them, honestly. Like, because they tend to get more attention.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I brought up, if you did watch my viewpoint, my economic viewpoint video, I did argue against some of Matt's points. You guys got to keep in mind, it's like 3 in the fucking morning when I was doing this.
Yeah.
But I did argue a lot of Matt's viewpoints, and I did try to bring up the podcast. And that's kind of, I think, as you were saying, the goal with these other economic musings.
Yeah.
Great word, by the way.
You should make a couple more too this month or next month.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, definitely when I have more time.
Yeah.
I think after we're done with the play. Well.
Oh yeah, dude. This is the busiest I've been in a long time. I just had a midterm last week. It was kind of.
I took my first economics test today.
Like in economics class?
Yeah, like my first economics class economics test that's actually over economics and wasn't just fucking map quizzes.
Yeah.
Which was shitty. But
that's Mrs. Carver still, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is moronic. She's trying to teach capitalism. I'm pretty sure she's a socialist.
I don't think so. She's just like a.
I think she's kind of corporate leftist.
Because she switched to Bernie to Hillary so quick when
yeah.
Hillary was announced as the nominee.
I mean, she was
originally angry.
She was originally Hillary, and then she went to Bernie after Bernie started gaining some speed on Hillary, and then once he dropped out of the race, she just went right back to Hillary. So she was for Hillary in the beginning.
That's the type of liberal she is.
One of the worst kinds of liberal.
Yeah, because it leads you down these like really dumb roads, like to start thinking these like stupid radical feminist notions of like men can't be raped by women and shit like that. That's like a common thing that people in that sphere hold as a belief. Is these like?
I mean,
really
isn't this something like 20% of rapes is a woman raping a man?
I'm not sure because like, how are you gonna? You'd have to calculate the reports, not even like the ones that no one finds out about.
Yeah,
till years later.
I mean, like, but still, I think if you were to take that calculation,
and I think that a man is going to be less likely to go to the cops than a woman is. Honestly.
Definitely, I agree with that one because it's a lot more fucking like. I don't want to sound sexist when I say this, but like, I honestly do believe that if a guy got raped, he'd probably be like made fun of by his friends for it.
But well, that would be the fear. There's a lot of like social pressure on men that does not get talked about nearly enough. Like,
and like I said, and that's one of them. Like a guy getting raped wouldn't want to talk about it purely for the fact that he'd be afraid he was going to get made fun of for getting raped.
And that's residue from the past of like back in the 50s where dudes were supposed to like literally like shield yourself from any emotion at all and never show like your feelings ever.
And definitely, and like the whole thought that like the feminist thing saying that men can't get raped isn't helping it.
No, definitely not. I mean, it sucks because like most of those people who hold those like ridiculous positions are actually genuinely trying to be virtuous.
Yeah.
It's it's a mess.
Wow, we completely went off track.
That's all right. We just started going on stuff.
But yeah, what are we going to talk about as a whole this video? We haven't talked about any Eastern philosophies. I think would be interesting.
I'm not sure I know much about that.
We could talk about Sun Tzu, which honestly,
I think I have a Sun Tzu. I think I have the Art of War.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. We could talk about the Art of War, which was the Eastern Hellenism, basically.
Yeah.
We did a Hellenism video already. We could.
Let's table that for once I read the book, though.
Yeah. Table that discussion for the future.
Yeah, like we did with socialism and nihilism, which we did follow through on. So.
Yeah, I mean, we should talk about nihilism, definitely. We could talk about like Socrates and Voltaire and the free thinking viewpoint.
All right, if you want to go there.
I mean, there's a bit of history behind that, though. We'd have to explain.
Yeah.
Because, like, low key, this is funny. Voltaire, one of the biggest philosophers of his time, talking about how he was he would talk about how he's very virtuous of a person. He would talk about how he is like this great person, and the way he got rich. Get this: the way he got rich is he rigged the lottery. Yeah, I'm a virtuous guy that rigged the lottery.
You probably didn't. You probably definitely caught the irony of that, though.
Yeah, which I find funny. Ugh. But yeah, Voltaire was a interesting philosopher. He talked a lot about like the free thinking. He fought against traditionalists. He was definitely the you of his time. Minus the part about like, I don't think you've rigged the lottery yet.
No.
I don't think you have the mathematical skill to rig the lottery.
I don't think that's something I would morally condone.
Yeah. But yeah, Voltaire was definitely the you of his time. He argued with traditionalists. He argued with a lot of things. But he was the major, as I was saying, free thinker. He was wow, that's a lot of French writing. Holy shit. Well, I'm like looking it up right now so I can actually understand what I'm fucking talking about and explain it better. So can you like explain?
Well, like I've there was a time when I would just see a lot of like internet posts of Voltaire quotes specifically about like God and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Voltaire lived in a time where Christianity was definitely a big thing. And I can't say that he was an atheist, but he definitely argued against a lot of the Christian values, even as a Christian. Or Catholic, actually. He was Roman Catholic. But, I want the fucking biography. I want his viewpoints, you fucking cunt. Jesus Christ. Wikipedia's bitch, guys. But yeah, Voltaire, or I can't even pronounce that fucking name. François Marie Arouet. He was born in Paris in 1694. Lived a surprisingly long life. He lived to be 83, dying in 1778. So he lived to see the beginning of the revolution.
Like the American Revolution? Nice.
He died right before the beginning of the French Revolution. And honestly, I think he was one of the people that kind of spurred it on, actually.
You see the guy, the quote, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Was that him?
I don't think so.
Because that's what this website says.
But shit, Jesus Christ. I hate Wikipedia, guys. He definitely argued against nihilism for his time. He argued against like the nihilistic viewpoints and traditionalist viewpoints.
It's weird to argue against both.
Yeah, he was a free thinker. He was kind of in the middle, as I put it. He was a centrist, if you really think about it. He was a centrist philosopher. He was like, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. He argued against.
Yeah, I've seen that quote too.
Yeah, he argued against a lot of what the Catholic Church did. It was very good of him in his time to do shit like that. He
was warning against ideological possession.
Yeah, he also had quotes such as things like "common sense is not so common."
Yeah.
I gotta text my mom. Talk for me. I need time.
Well, I would say that specific quote about those who can make you believe absurdities can also make you commit atrocities would actually become more relevant later on in history.
He was definitely a man before his time.
Yeah. With things like Nazi Germany and like, I would argue American imperialism in the modern age as well.
Mm-hmm. He was very like other free thinkers, and I really think one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about free thinking today is because it doesn't go so much with modern politics, but it goes a lot with like the revolution, for example. Our founding fathers were very much free thinkers. Washington was a free thinker. John Locke was a free thinker. Alexander Hamilton, not so much. Thomas Jefferson, not so much.
They were more ideological.
John Adams, not at all.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of our major founding fathers, Patrick Henry was a free thinker. All of them were major free thinkers. John Locke's quote, life, liberty, and property.
Yeah.
Is a very free thinking viewpoint.
It's also very libertarian.
Yeah. And you'll find that a lot of free thinkers are libertarians.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, why they're called free thinkers. Free thinking is basically it's the ideology, but not the philosophy, I'd say, of libertarianism.
Well, the ideology of libertarianism is libertarianism.
Yeah, but like, if you really think about it, like libertarianism during that time was known as free thinking.
So it was like completely blended in with the philosophical aspect.
Yeah. Because the philosophical aspect is what caused these political viewpoints.
Right.
Free thinking was libertarianism in that time. And I mean, Alexander Hamilton definitely had his free thinker moments, but he was definitely also a theist, hardcore. He was a hardcore theist.
Yeah.
So he argued for the church a lot. He argued the Protestant viewpoint of the church, not so much the Catholic viewpoint, which is actually very different from Voltaire, because Voltaire was a Roman Catholic. But as I was saying, the freethinker ideology is what the whole Libertarian Party is based off of, in my opinion, because the freethinkers are the people that it's the ideology, meaning they come up with these free-thinking ideas while subscribing to philosophies of a more darker reasoning to support these ideologies such as free thinking. That's why a lot of free thinking libertarians, you'll know, you'll notice are nihilist.
Right.
Because nihilists use their nihilistic philosophy to reason their free-thinking
Well,
libertarianism.
And just pure like rejection of the objective morality concept leads you into like a more libertine politics, because it's like most people who just get into politics, they base it on their own moral structure. So if you have the ability to like introspect enough to realize that your own moral structure is subjective, then you'll start to be like, okay, now I can just let everybody else do what they want to do.
Yeah, definitely. You really notice if we lived in a free thinker society, a true free thinker society, everything, I honestly believe everything would be legal. Not like
anarchism, like
no, I mean like all drugs would be legal.
Yeah,
you could fucking inject heroin into you.
That's a more common view than I thought it was originally, because I was on the legalize all drugs train like a year or two ago. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, free thinkers be like one of the biggest viewpoints of free thinkers and one of the biggest viewpoints of libertarians are like people should be able to do what they want to do. It's the people's. It's not a privilege the government can take away from us. It's a right we have, and it's a right that no one can take away from me. I can do what I want because I'm free to do what I want.
And so are you. It's like there's a reciprocity component there.
Yeah,
it's like I'm free, so you should also be free. Like we're all free to do what we want to do individually.
And that's another whole point. Like the trueness of my freedom is allowing you to have your freedom too.
Then it's they depend on each other.
And the beauty of freedom is that like the people should be able to limit their freedom to give more freedom to other people at points. That's why you'll see things. It's hard to think of a modern example. Like in the Federalist Papers, John Jay would write a lot about it. John Jay was another free thinker. He actually didn't write many Federalist Papers, though. He wrote like 8, I think.
Must be why I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Well, there's 3 major authors to the Federalist Papers. There's James Monroe.
Yeah.
One of our big founding fathers. John Jay, the person you don't know. And Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
The 3 writers to the Federalist Papers. Alexander Hamilton, there's like something like 118, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. I think I might be wrong, actually. And Hamilton wrote like straight up like 70 of them.
Right.
Because like what they agreed is they were going to split it up into like 40. You're going to do 40. I'm going to do 40.
And Hamilton was like, "Nah, I'm more ambitious than you two." Like,
no, like Hamilton stuck to his like the clause, stuck to the agreement until John Jay was like, "Yo, I'm really sick. I can't do this."
Oh,
so Hamilton kind of stepped in and be like, "Hey, I'll write the rest of your papers. It might not be your viewpoint, but I'll write them."
Right.
And Hamilton did that because he was very much a writer. He was but opposite politics.
Yeah, he seems very top right to me.
Well, he is top right economically, but I also think he was top right economically because during that time they needed top right economics.
Well, in a country's formation, that type of attitude towards your country of like, we need to make this state like strong is like a very like necessary component because you're just starting. Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I do believe if Alexander Hamilton was around today, he would probably be libertarian, right? Because he very much saw George Washington as a mentor. Mm-hmm.
And George Washington was the epitome of right libertarian. Like he
must be why I saw that PragerU video on him,
right? Honestly, I do believe he was very much an epitome of the right libertarian party.
Mm.
Like I don't think he really had many socialist viewpoints. If you really want to see left libertarian epitomes in our founding fathers, look towards Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson is very much left libertarian.
He was almost like an anarcho-primitivist in a way, because he was like, I want to make an agrarian republic.
Yeah.
Like,
except he kind of like had slaves, but
well, he was a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Let's not have any illusions.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson was definitely a hypocrite.
I remember when I argued that he was, was the debate whether or not he was racist?
No, the debate was whether or not that he truly believed in getting rid of slavery.
And I had to argue that he did.
Yeah.
And I won.
Yeah, it's because fucking Sloan was fighting me, not you. Sloan was
yeah,
fighting
well,
me.
that's why, dude. That's what I'm saying. You gotta be consistent. You gotta all of you gotta be on the same page. When you're
And I tried to do that. Honestly, I did.
Yeah.
Then Sloan straight up started fucking crying.
Got emotional because like politics to her is very emotional.
Yeah, because she's, I'm not gonna say that.
She's a feminist.
But
But then she came on Math Money Morning podcast. She said she's not even a feminist. She said she was an equalist, which is that's the first and last time I've ever heard anybody refer to themselves as that. But
so, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I understand like the feminist movement and that it wants men and women to be equal in the workplace. And
yeah, I'm in favor of that part.
Well, let's be honest here. Like at least 80% of the feminist movement isn't that
anymore.
At least 80% of the feminist movement is men should be less than women.
Yeah.
Like as I was saying earlier, I'm completely fine giving up some of my freedoms to allow women to be equal to me. I'm completely fine with that. But I also am not going to give up all my freedoms so they can live this truly free lifestyle.
Well, if it swings, the pendulum swings in the total opposite direction, where it's like, okay, now they're subjugating men. Yeah. That's where the danger would be.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that the right tends to strawman the social positions of the left in a way where they try to make them sound worse than they actually are. Like, I don't actually think those problems are as big as like people like
we're math people.
Steven Crowder would tell you. Like, there's this whole contingency on the right that seems to think that these like triggered college kids are the biggest issue of our time, when they're really like the smallest issue of our time.
I mean,
but I understand why they're upset about it. It's because the younger generation of like those left-wing radicals, you could say, are trying to change the game, Yeah. Because that's what the youth does.
And I mean, like, the problem, and honestly, if I'm being honest, I really do. Because if you look at the previous generations, they did the same thing in different ways. And I really do believe they're going to win. I really do.
Well,
I honestly do. But I also think at the same time, the way they're going to win is becoming more reasonable. And they're going to see, this is kind of like extreme, so maybe we should cut this down a bit, and we can argue these better viewpoints of ours.
Yeah.
And if we kind of cut these parts out of our argument that are really kind of just shitty, and we focus on these really good parts, then we can change the game for the better. So, like, basically what they got to do is cut out, like, extreme PC culture and like socialism from it, and they're good.
Don't cut out socialism completely. I think the revival of socialism in America is a very important part of our political climate right now.
I don't think we need, like, I think a socialist state is the farthest thing from what we need in our current economic climate.
Yeah, because you would see the solution of the problems to be a more right-wing answer.
And I mean, like, right-wing libertarian economics, not so much to the point where, like, you can do whatever the fuck you want when it comes to trade because we're not going to stop you. You can pollute rivers. No, we're not going to stop you. I don't want...
Not that far right.
I don't want free market.
Right.
I don't want free market, but I want... Like, I really think if we freed up our market a bit and stopped making it so, if I want to go sell cookies on by my house, I have to go to the town hall and get a fucking permit to do this. And then I have to get a LLC license because I'm starting a company. I have to go get these 3 other licenses because I want to start a company.
So you think taking down the red tape for small enterprise would help?
Yeah, definitely.
Perhaps.
And I think we should stop the monopolization of big companies.
Yeah.
And I know I sound kind of socialist saying that.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, what? We have no monopolization. It's all okay.
We definitely have monopolization. I mean, look at Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Look at Mr. Zuck.
Look at the Zuck for a second, and then tell me what you think. But
so, yeah, we definitely have this manipulation of big company. And we have the big companies are buying out these politicians and manipulating small business, making it harder for people to start a small business.
Yeah.
And making it way higher, small business taxes way higher than big business taxes.
Which makes no sense.
So these small businesses can't grow, and it allows for these companies to monopolize and monopolize and monopolize.
That's why I say we live in a corporatist country.
And
because of shit like that.
we do have a very, like, honestly, right now, if I'm being honest, I think we have a very authoritarian left economy. I really do.
Think so?
I think it's very corporatist authoritarian left.
So like not that far left.
Yeah.
Because like you go far enough left, it's like
we're
abolish the corporation.
We're not communism. We're not communism. Like, let me make this very clear.
Are we state capitalism?
You kind of have this wall right here. This is going to be communism, right?
Okay.
We're kind of like right here. I
don't think we're that close to the wall.
Because Trump's literally trying to build a wall. But fucking, I really think that we're in we're getting close to where communism would be. Because look at our youth. Our youth is pushing for the buildup of socialism. They're pushing for the buildup of these communist values.
Yeah.
And that's why I really think that this corporatist left is getting closer to this wall of communism. And we're going to get our new Iron Curtain once.
I'm not sure if we're that close to communism.
I don't think we're that close right now, but I think we're slowly getting closer with the buildup of the youth communism movement, which I think is a fair viewpoint. But basically, I really think the way our economy is getting set up and the way big business is being run, it's a very corporatist, authoritarian left. Because we're definitely not, like, we're closer to the center than we are at the extreme.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, let's a quote just popped into my head. I can't really remember who said this, but I think a lot of leftists say it, and that's why I'm saying it's in the United States we've got socialism for the upper class and total economic anarchy for the lower classes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see.
I mean, the way I see it is like monopolization. As I said, we had people during the early 1900s like Theodore Roosevelt, William Taft, and Calvin Coolidge, kind of, who came in and started busting these trusts, busting these monopolies.
Yeah,
who were very authoritarian, right?
Yeah,
these are authoritarian right monopolies that were kind of like slowly moving towards the authoritarian left. Because I don't know if people really understand this, but once you get far enough authoritarian right, you get authoritarian left.
You believe in that, like, kind of like horseshoe dynamic?
No, I think it's cyclical.
Yeah, right.
But
I think the cycle can go both ways.
Yeah, because like if you really think about it, if you get to a free market, like if you get extreme enough free market, it literally just turns into social. It turns into small.
That must be why some socialists are like accelerationists like that. They're like, well, why don't we just make the pendulum swing all the way to the other way, so then it goes back to where we want it to get. A lot of leftists think that. That's why, like, there's this huge contingency of left-wingers who are like, actually, it's good that we have Trump because this will spark the revolt in the people to start the revolution. That's a lot of people actually think that.
I mean, I definitely think like the young left, the older socialist left wants to spark the young left, wants to recreate the jungle. Really, I really think they want to recreate the jungle, so the young left finds reason to push back towards socialism because, like, and you really see it. And then you can see it in things like the jungle, because if you look at the book The Jungle, it's pure free market.
Well, that was back when they didn't have labor protection.
Yeah, it's pure free market,
and that's why socialism was pretty popular among workers at that time.
It was pure free market, like I'm saying. And when you take that pure free market and you realize, oh, this is really fucked up, all the people are like, wait,
yeah, this kid's
the opposite's way better.
Yeah,
but it's still kind of shitty. But it's better than what we have now. So everybody, it literally goes from free market and you push it a little bit extra and it spins back around socialism.
There seems to be that wager that the people make with things. Like, that reminds me of the Cuban Revolution, because like the people who didn't leave Cuba after Fidel won and like moved to Florida to vote for Marco Rubio and all that shit, they basically said like, yeah, we went from this fascistic dictator to this communist dictator, but we chose him. Like the people who supported Fidel, they were like, we made this wager because we think that the top left would be better than the top right because we saw how bad it was there. They're like proud of it. At least that's what I've heard.
And I mean, yeah,
Because there is also this other
it
component
shows
is that the Cubans have a very cultural. They have a lot of pride for their culture as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you really see it though. Like if you look at fascist states, right? Fascist states usually fall into this communist-like or socialist-like.
Because that's what Batista, the guy before, I think that was the guy before Fidel, was. He was very like
he was totalitarian.
Yeah, and a right winger at the same time.
He was very like he was far up right, like far up right, and then they had this person that was far up left.
But notice, America didn't have a problem with it until the leftists won.
I mean, but you gotta, if you really think about it, the leftists of the '60s are kind of the rights today.
The leftists of the '60s were the hippies, dude. They're not right.
Yeah, and if you really think, if you ask a lot of hippies nowadays, they won't look at Trump and like him, but they'll look at some of the more right leaning people and they'll like, yeah, I like his ideas, I like his policies.
Maybe. Maybe there's some of that.
They're not like far right. I'm not trying to say they're far right. Well, they're definitely more central.
I think the reason for that is because the uniting issue of that time among those libertarians in the hippie movement was anti-war, and the anti-war sentiment exists on both the libertarian left and the libertarian right. Yeah. So,
and I mean, if you really think about it, JFK was like, yes, he was voted in for the Democratic Party, but his policies were very libertarian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very libertarian, right? He was very much for more free market like economics. He was JFK the one that started? No, he wasn't. No.
Well, JFK was gonna break up the CIA. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people believe the CIA.
Yeah, I think the CIA and the Cubans had a hand in it. I think it was a conspiracy. I believe the JFK conspiracy. More than one shooter, but Lee Harvey Oswald was involved. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, I think Lee Harvey Oswald was the one that got the kill shot in.
Yeah, and I think
there's more than just him set up, though. I feel like the CIA had like 7 assassins.
I think that's why he took the blame for it.
And Lee Harvey Oswald probably took the shot that killed him.
Yeah. You know what a lot of people don't know? I don't think. Is that Watergate, you know, what Nixon did? Cubans helped him do that. Yeah, like Cuban dudes.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Give me a minute, I'll text my dad. Definitely, like if you really think about it, totalitarian, as I've been trying to say, totalitarianism and authoritarian right, or even libertarian right, if you go far enough right, you're going to end up left. If you go far enough left, you're going to end up right. If you go far enough, and vice versa, like it's both authoritarian and libertarian. It's a cyclical look.
I think that's because we live in a society where like not everyone agrees.
Yeah.
So you swing to one pole, and then the people on the other side want to pull it back to the other pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it how do I explain this? It doesn't look cyclical from the viewpoint from the outside.
But if you zoom in,
you
can tell.
Or no, actually, I think it's vice versa. I think if you zoom in on it, it doesn't look like a cyclical.
But if you get the whole picture.
But yeah, if you look at the whole picture, it looks like it's just going around in a circle.
Yeah.
That's why I call it cyclical. Like if you zoom out from it, it looks cyclical because you push right, far right, you end up on the left. That's why before you had fucking Fidel Castro, you had a totalitarian right leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you look at fucking Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Lenin, before them there was a very authoritarian right.
Yeah, it was literally a czar, like a king.
Yeah. Literally had a fucking monarchy. Authoritarian.
A feudalist monarchy, yeah. They see that component is why a lot of people say the Soviet socialism wasn't a success, was because they didn't actually go through a capitalist stage. They went from feudalism to socialism. And Marx lines out the fact that you have to actually let capitalism have its time, and then socialism will come. That's what the Marxist view is. So, the Marxist-Leninists seem to be self-critical of that part. Like, Russia was not the right place to do it, because what Lenin said, as I've said on this podcast before, was that the USSR's socialism has failed, and that the actual revolution will take place in Germany.
Got to take a call.
But that didn't happen. Said it was Hitler. Hopefully Nick doesn't have to leave.
I'm pretty sure I do. Hey, all right, when are you getting here? Is she? Thought you were on. I'm trying to. I'm just. I haven't been here for that long, and I was trying to figure out like, how long it's going to be until you get here, so I can have you pick me up. You should. You should have texted me that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear my phone go off. Yep.
It's
Yep.
all on air.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, dude.
All right. Well,
We'll continue this later.
yes, this is like a kind of miscellaneous episode. That's all right, though.
Probably do this on like a single. We'll probably finish this up. Probably have a little bit of an argument between videos.
So, yeah, see you guys later.
See ya.